had a comment. Go every week on Wednesday we have, and at the end of the year I take all the knife of the week, and it's a picture that I post on our YouTube channel. So if you're subscribed, hit the bell icon and you should see it. And so anyway, at the end of the year, in one place. So we're going to go through all of them, and we're going to give you some price ideas. And after that, so thanks for joining. And the good thing's done, then it'll just screen, and you can see the first. Now these aren't in order. Unfortunately, I couldn't get them in order. But anyway, the first knife that we have up, this is a Smoky Mountain knife exclusive. Now the Tinker is a great knife. It's one of my favorites. And this one was a Christmas exclusive this year. And it was about $33.99. Very close to that. I don't think that was the exact price, but very close. I don't know that you can buy it now, but it's a really good knife. You can buy a Tinker, maybe just a little cheaper than that, depending on where you go. And I have a couple Tinkers and definitely recommend them. Okay, going on to the next knife. This is a Christmas knife made by Case. It's a Bowie knife. Might can still find it used, but anyway, I don't think it. Let's look. I don't think it specified it was. One thing about Christmas knives, I don't like dates on Christmas knives because then it's kind of pointless. Okay, moving on. And this is a Hoy's Forge custom knife. I think he calls this a Turk's Hunter, I believe is what he calls that. He can comment and clarify that if he wants to. But anyway, that's a custom knife made by my buddy, Brother Hoy at Hoy's Forge. He's in West Virginia, and I use a lot of his knives. The plain fact for that is I like his knives. He makes very cool knives, and so I've used some of his pictures. All right, so I believe this knife. I'm not sure the price. I didn't look it up. It probably would retail for, I don't know, maybe $100, maybe a little more than that, depending on how fancy it is. It's got brass and things like that. So he can make you a custom knife if you'll contact him. The best way to get a hold of him is Facebook, and just to look up Hoy's Forge on Facebook, and you'll find him. He makes a lot of really cool knives, including a knife that I haven't showed you yet. I'm going to do a video on it soon. Okay, moving on. I'm going to try not to get bogged down. Next, this is a Confederate Bowie knife. Now, obviously, I don't own this knife, and that's one thing. Next year, actually not this year, we're going to be doing knife of the week. Is actually going to be a little bit more personal. I'm going to use only knives that I either personally own or I know somebody that personally owns them, including you. So if you want to get in on this knife of the week next year, to be in the big video, and you will be this week or next week, sometime this year, you'll be on the knife of the week if you send me a picture. And then at the end of the year, you'll be part of this video. So anyway, contact me at youtube916@yahoo.com, and that would be great. Okay, now let's see here. See, we have somebody watching, whoever that is. Thank you. I'm new to this, so I don't know really how to see who. But either way, thanks. I sure appreciate it. Moving on, like I said, this is a Confederate. This was part of Bowie-tober. We're going to be doing that from here on. Bowie-tober, October is going to be Bowie-tober. And so if any other YouTube channels wants to get on that, they can. But anyway, it's a Confederate Bowie knife. I couldn't think of a better way. All right. Frontiersman. It is a full, very heavy duty knife. It's just a great knife. Mountain knife works for 100 of our Bowie tobers to doing this, but hopefully we'll stick with this thing and keep going. All right. Next is a K-bar. Now this is a space bar. Now I do own this knife. I didn't take this picture, but I do own this knife. They're pretty much all my favorites. It is on the top of favorite list. Space bar. So it is a it's not officially licensed Space Force, but it is a Space Force edition knife, because they make a knife for every branch of the military. And so anyway, they call it the Space Bar. And at the Smoky Mountain Knife Works, it retails for $89.95, although it was on sale, but they're out of stock. So I don't know where you can find one at the moment because they're out of stock. You have to do some searching if you want to find this knife. Okay, moving on. This is a Bowie knife, probably a handmade Bowie knife that I found on the internet that I just really liked. And so I put it on there. I don't know who owns it, but it was part of our Bowie-tober, and it's a great knife. It just looks great. All right, so next, this is a I think this is a Rambo knife. I don't know. I really don't know that much about Rambo, but there's a feller. He has a YouTube channel called Chainsaw Shack, and I don't know him, but last year, maybe the year before last, he contacted me and asked if I wanted some pictures of knives, and I said absolutely. So he sent me probably about 6 or 7 really nice knives, and so this is one of them, and it's a really nice knife. So it was a knife of the week. Let's get that out of the way. All right, next, this is a $5 Ozark Trail knife. It's kind of a cool knife, no doubt about that. Super cool knife. It like I say, it retails for $5 at Walmart. It's made by Ozark Trail, and the reason it's covered in mud right there, it's actually camouflage, is because at about 2 o'clock in the morning, at a camp meeting, a pipe busted at about, I don't know, probably about 11 o'clock. And so at 2 o'clock in the morning, we were still working on that pipe, and one of my friends was in a mud hole and had to dig mud out of the way. And like I said, 2 o'clock in the morning, we didn't have really the tools we needed. And so I just handed him that pocket knife, and he used it digging the mud. And I said, well, we'll take a picture of it. And so it's been a good knife. I actually recommend the $5 knife. If you want to give somebody a knife, and you know that cheaper knives don't offend them, it is a great knife. It really is, for $5. I like it. So anyway, Jason Knight Custom. I guess you would call that a Bowie knife. And I mean, there isn't much to say except that is just a gorgeous knife. And a lot of these knives that I've put on here are dream knives, and that is definitely a dream knife. I don't know who owns it, but it is a beautiful knife, and I would love to own that knife, but that's probably not. Okay, moving on. This is a Buck 877 Maverick. It's actually my first Buck knife because I happen to have that knife with me. Good knife. I like it. You can't white handled one that was being sold at, I know, at the Smoky Mountain Knife Works and some other places, and they're great knives. Now the rumor is handle version is made in China and that the America. I don't know if that's true. I do not know that. It's a great knife either way. I highly recommend it. Okay, moving on. Let's go. Okay, this is a USA made. Well, I don't know if it's made in USA. I'd say it is. It's the best knife, and it's a really, really good knife. I found that knife at a antique store in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, I believe, years ago. I made the sheath for it. Matter of fact, that sheath is now water formed, so it actually looks better. But either way, I've had that knife for a couple years, all of the time, and I still love that knife. The thing with me is I usually carry knives that I have gotten more recently. That's just the way it is. So anyway, I love this knife. It's such a great knife. Now, the only way that you probably could ever get this knife, I think I paid $5 for it, is they do make US knife reproductions, and they're fairly cheap, and you can modify it yourself. But that's the only way I know you can get this knife. It's kind of a one of a kind, and that blade profile, whoever made it like that, I wonder if it broke. I don't know, but it is a great blade profile. It's small. It's very convenient. I really like it. So I always thought it was cool to carry a US mess knife around. All right, moving on. This is a push dagger that I made a couple years ago, and it actually has a leather handle on it now. I guess I need to do a video on that, but anyway, it is really sharp. I made it out of a saw blade, and I like it. So anyway, I thought we'd do a knife of the week there. And to be honest, sometimes it's kind of hard to get so many knives out there, and that's why I need your help. If you want to contact me at youtube916@yahoo.com, then I would appreciate it. And just send me your knives. It don't have to be a handmade custom knife. It don't have to be any of that. And if you're not good at taking pictures, then find the knife that you own. I know there's a picture on it on the internet somewhere, and send it to me. Just make sure it's a good quality picture. It don't have to be super quality or anything. This is not a very great picture, but just a decent picture. Anyway, that's enough commercial. I'll keep moving on. All right, now this knife is a buck 110 with finger grooves. You can get it with or without finger grooves. And as you can see, this knife was used by Gene Mose, I hope I said his name right, to defend himself against a 750-pound brown bear. He was deer hunting, and this brown bear attacked him, and he killed that bear with this knife, which is just crazy. I think you can see, let's see if we can zoom up on there, some of the hair still stuck in there, and he just kind of mounted it. And he survived to tell about it. Now, he did not survive without wounds, but anyway, I just thought that was so cool. And a very iconic buck knife. I don't know of, really, I'm sure they're out there, but I don't know of much more of an iconic buck knife than that one specifically. That's amazing. So thought that'd be a great knife of the week. All right, now moving on to this is made by Tops. It is I'm hoping I'm saying this right. It's a Prather War Bowie, and I just fell in love with this knife the first time I ever saw it. Unfortunately, these are out of stock. Seems like time before last, I did see one at the Smoky Mountain Knife Works, but it's not on their website now, so I don't know if maybe they kept a couple for display and you could buy them there. I don't know, but it is a great knife. And again, I'm sorry, I don't know where you could buy one, but they are really very nice knives. And I think Tops knives are semi-custom made. This knife was also, let's see here. I have on my notes that it is at Blade HQ, so you can buy this knife at Blade HQ. I need to read my notes more. And it's $172.95. So it's a very expensive knife, but you get a lot of metal for what you pay for it. Quality stuff. So very nice. Really like it. All right, let's move on. Okay, now this is a railroad spike knife that I made a couple years ago, and I don't know, I just always liked that blade profile. I don't have it anymore. I sold it, but I really like it, and so I decided to make it a knife of the week. Moving on, this knife, Deep South Experience. He has a YouTube channel, and he was kind enough to let me use this knife for a knife. I asked him if I could, and he said I could. So, super nice knife. But what's so great about this knife? I mean, it looks just like a butcher knife. I'll tell you what's so great about this knife. This is a reproduction made by Jesse Cliff. I'm not familiar with him, but he's a knife maker. And this knife is about as close as we're ever going to get to see the original knife of the Bowie knife, the Bowie knife that he used at the sandbar fight. Now, Jim Bowie, I mean, there's just not much of a bigger name in the knife world. And the knife that he carried that made him so famous, he got in a fight on a sandbar. It was supposed to be a duel, and it turned out to be a big brawl. But anyway, he carried this knife, and this knife is, like I said, is about as close as we can get. Now, this knife looks very simple, like it's a Bowie knife, and I mean a butcher knife, and it is, but it's a lot thicker than a regular butcher knife would be. So either way, he carried this, and then as he got famous and popular, and he went on to him and his brother Reason, I think it's Reason. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I think it is Reason. They went on to design better knives, and I believe they're the ones that did actually come up with the more modern Bowie knife that we know today and know and love. So anyway, super iconic knife, and a big shout out to him for letting me use his knife. And again, his name is Deep South Experience. Okay, the next one. Now this knife, me and my brother bought my dad, I think for Father's Day a couple years ago, and Dad was nice enough to let me put it on here for a knife of the week. And this is just a really, really, really cool knife. I'm gonna take a drink of water real quick. Been talking a lot. Let's see here. Let's see, how do I do that? Anyway, it don't matter. But anyway, well, hey, we got 2 people on here. I appreciate that. We've been going 10 minutes. So anyway, sorry, I'm kind of rambling here a little bit. Again, this is my first. So I find them quality knives, but they are made in China, but they are inexpensive. So this is a sow belly. That's the design. That's the style of this pocket knife, and it is a coral snake edition. So it's got that coral snake handle, and it has the poem. I can't remember, but it's red on black. Was that red on black? Friend of Jack? I can't remember. I can't remember. Either way, it has the poem on the blade. Well, we can just read it. It says, "Red on black, a friend of Jack. Red on yellow, could kill a fellow." And it's got this really cool C for the coral snake. That is a snake. It's got snakes on both blades, and the smaller blades. It's a really nice knife. Now, this knife, you cannot buy this knife anymore that I could find, the sow belly. But I did find a whittler at the Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, right here. And I think it was $16.99. That is a great deal for such a cool knife. And so, even though it is a Chinese-made knife, I kind of recommend it because that's very cool. All right, I might go buy me one. I'm not sure. Next, we have a Case American flag Bowie knife. I'm going to try to quit rambling so much. But anyway, this I could not find. No, I found one place. I can't remember where it was, but they had it, and it was on sale. It was a little different, but basically the same knife for $184.95. I've always loved the Case Bowie knife. I think they're based on the Marine Raider Bowie, I believe is what they're based on. Anyway, moving on. This is a butcher knife that my dad found at a thrift store. I'm going to tell you, thrift stores, flea markets are great places to find knives. You hardly do, but every now and then you find a gem. And this is a really sharp butcher knife that my dad found, and I believe it's handmade. We don't know. It doesn't have any markings. I made the sheath for it, and that's one nice thing. That's really why I got into leather work, even though I do other things also now. A knife is really not all that good without a sheath. You need a sheath to carry a knife, to carry a knife. Now, a kitchen knife, other things, I understand there are uses for knives without sheaths. But if you're going to use a knife, if you're going to even keep it with you, even in a car, you have to have some kind of way to keep you from cutting your stuff or cutting yourself. And so leather is as good a way as any. And so that's really a great pitch right there for you to get into leather work. It's really not that hard. And I have a few videos, and other people have better videos than I do on getting into leather work, but I have some videos that would be useful. All right, moving on. I'm going to try to quit rambling. Moving on, we have a knife. I actually made this knife. I blacksmithed this knife. It's made out of a file. You can see the things here, the marks left on the file. And I'm going to tell you, this is probably, I don't know, this is probably one of the best, not knives, but this is probably one of the best steels that I've ever used. I hardened that thing, and I'm telling you what, that thing is crazy hard and super sharp. My brother Jesse actually owns this knife right now. All right, moving on. Now, this is a cool knife. I did a video on this a while back. This is a Case Trifold. You see it says right there, Trifold. It kind of looks like it's made out of a file, but it wasn't. But anyway, this is a really weird knife. I found this knife, again, at a thrift store years ago. And this knife is it's cool. But to be honest, it's really not that great of a knife. So you have this bottom section here. It folds out, and then the blade folds out of the bottom section, and then you close the top section onto the bottom section, and it cannot close on your hand while you're holding it. It's kind of cheaply made, I have to say, but I will tell you this knife, it shocked me how much this knife is worth. And I don't know if it's worth this, but this is what people were asking. I found 2 listings on eBay because this knife's not in production, and the average was about $140 for this knife. So people, please do not go out and buy this knife for $140. You could buy a lot better knife. You can go get you a Hoy knife. You could buy a K-bar. There's a lot of great knives on this list, but I do find it to be a very interesting knife, and that's why it was a very cool knife of the week. All right, moving on. This is the hot dog knife. Now, Blade HQ. This is a Blade HQ exclusive. They are a internet knife store, and this particular knife was released, I don't know, 2 years ago, a year ago maybe, and they said they were going to put them in production, but they released the pictures. They had a ice cream knife. I don't know. There's a bunch of other ones, but anyway, this one was the most interesting because they actually blunted the tip. It's really fuzzy, but you can see that they blunted the tip, and it's obviously a hot dog in a bun. Now this is a switchblade. That's why I kind of call this day. It's kind of the, I don't know, the platinum age of switchblades. I mean, it's crazy all the different kinds of switchblades that people make nowadays. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And I'm rambling again, but this is a hot dog knife, and I do not know if you can buy this knife. I could not find it, so I don't know if they actually even produce it. They might have just done it for a joke, but I thought it was very interesting, and I thought it'd be a cool knife of the week. Oh, by the way, this is a Boker Kalashnikov. I'm sorry, a Boker Kalashnikov. And if you're looking for a Boker Kalashnikov, you can buy one for about $60, give or take. And but just not this one because I couldn't find this knife for sale. All right, moving on. This is a karambit that I made a couple years ago for my brother for Christmas. Made it out of wrench. It's a pretty cool knife. Made the sheath for it, and so I think it's great that I can use different knives that you won't see anywhere else, because you won't see this anywhere else. You'll probably see better wrench karambits, but you won't see this particular one anywhere else. All right, moving on. Oh, this is another knife I made. I actually made this for our preacher, and he's a big horse rider, and so I actually got a hold of one of his own horseshoes and made him a knife out of it. And I have to say, this knife really turned out pretty good. I like it. So anyway, I made that. Moving on. This, if I'm not mistaken, is the original Swiss Army knife. And I always thought that that was just super cool that it was the original Swiss Army knife. This is the one they made for the Army. It has a great sewing all on it. I really wish that I could get a hold of a knife like this. That's why it's on this list, is because that's a dream knife. I would love to own one just like that. I wish somebody would come out with a knife with a sewing all on it like that. That would be great. But anyway, it's a great knife. Really like it. It's a very expensive knife. I don't even know what the value is. I don't know if you could find one or not. Moving on. This is a great little pocket knife. This is a Case Sodbuster. Some people don't like the Sodbuster. It has plastic handles. They're not plastic. Nothing's plastic anymore, but it's polypropylene. But it is a type of plastic. So it's got plastic handles. You can get these in red, blue, white, yellow. I'm not sure what else. You actually can get one with stag handles, but they're more expensive. But anyway, I think the orange really pops well. My brother has a knife just like this. And these knives go for about $30, $35. Right now, you can buy it at Smoky Mountain Knife Works for $35.99. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing about the Knife Works while we're going to the next knife. Their shipping is outrageous. So I would not recommend buying it from the internet from them. But if you're ever going by the Knife Works, I would recommend stopping in there. All right, this is a Case dagger. I can't remember the exact name for it. I guess it's just a dagger. I don't know. When this came out, my buddy at Kirby Creek said he didn't know they made anything like this. I didn't know they did either. That knife's only probably about maybe, I'm not even sure if it's 5 inches. It's a very small, overall. It's a very small dagger. I bought one at a flea market for $2. It is really rough, and I've got a lot of work to do it. But one of these days I'm going to get around and I'm going to clean it up, and it's going to be a really nice knife. But either way, I had no idea they made it. So after I bought mine, I looked up a picture to see what it looked like before somebody had abused it, and this is what it looked like. Very nice knife. And I don't even think you can find one. If you find one, they're very expensive. I think they came with a sheath and a display box. All right, moving on. This is another Hoy knife, and he just amazes me, the stuff that he can do. This is a hunting knife, obviously, and it has leather and brass and stag handles with a brass guard. And I love the profile on that blade. It's just really great. And there you can see he actually carved a cross on the back of it. Beautiful work. So very, very, very nice. And I just about would hate to hunt with that, but I mean, you could, but that's a nice knife. That's a very nice knife. So whoever owns that knife, comment on here and tell us if you actually use it or not. I would like to know that. So moving on, this is a Western number 49 Bowie knife. Now this is another one sent in by the Chainsaw Shack. Very cool knife. There we go. I just messed it up. Here we go. Very, very cool knife. Very nice knife. And definitely a quality knife. Western, I was talking with my dad earlier. Yesterday, I think it was. Western is kind of funny because they've become collectible now. And they are American made, even though they were kind of inexpensive back in the day. All right. Moving on. This is a Buck 104 Compadre. Now, I do own this knife. I'm actually entered in the one knife challenge with this knife. And I have to tell you, even though I've only done one challenge so far, and only half of that, I love this knife. This thing carves wood really well. And it's just a really great, handy size, easy to carry. This knife retails for $119. I actually bought mine on a bid on Amazon. It was used. And I think I got it for, I don't know, $20, $30 off, something like that. But super nice knife. I really recommend it. Even though the 119 to me is a little steep, I don't think it's unreasonable. Buck is just a high-end knife. You get what you pay for. All right, moving on. This is the classic Buck 110 without the finger grooves. And I do have one of these. My dad gave it to me. And really great knife, and changed the knife industry as we know it because they introduced a lock back. And so anyway, that knife is $64.99 at Blade HQ. It's on sale right now. Kind of had a hard time finding it, but you can find it at different stores. Just kind of hard to find on the internet for me today, this particular day. All right, moving on. This is a jackknife. I think that's what I would call it, would be a jackknife. This was my grandpa's knife, my daddy's knife. And I just love old knives like this. You can tell that it was used and probably abused. And it's a great knife. Really glad to have it on here. It's my dad's. He let me take a picture of it. But anyway, I couldn't find an exact knife like this. But if you're looking for a new knife that is comparable, it's going to cost you about $60, something like that, from a case. And it won't really be comparable because I don't think their quality is quite as good as it used to be. It's still good though. I still think case are quality knives. All right, moving on. All right, this is a Arkansas toothpick. I don't know who made it. The Chainsaw Shack sent it in. It's a great looking knife. I really like it. Very nice knife. And so made a great knife of the week. All right, now this is a St. Patrick's edition. This is a, let's see here, a copper lock is what they call it. It's a copperhead style knife that locks in the back. So they just call it a copper lock. I could not find this knife, but if you're looking for a copper lock, yeah, it's going to cost you $65 to $100, depending on what style and what kind of handle material you're getting, what kind of blade steel you're getting. So one thing about Case, I wish Case would kind of expand their steels, but right now it's either their, I forget what they call it, surgical stainless steel, which is really good. It really is good stuff. Or sometimes they have a very limited run of carbon steel, and so that's what you get. All right, moving on. Here's another Bowie knife. I just love Bowie knives. It's just so iconic. I was watching a guy years ago, and he said, and it's probably true, that the Bowie knife is really America's only true knife that's really American. I don't know if that's true, but he's talking about the Bowie knife. He's talking about fixed blade knives in the whole world history of knives. And so that may be true. I'm not sure, but I do know that I love Bowie knives and they are American. So it's always a great thing to have something very, very Americana because we are Americans. I'm very proud of that. All right, moving on and trying to ramble less. This knife is a Case Trapper. Now this one is got a custom logo on it, website. That's my brother. He sent in He sent this in for a knife of the week. And so go check out his webpage. I would recommend it. He also has a YouTube channel, www.jc3lancaster.com. He writes Christian songs, and they're very biblical and very good. And I would definitely recommend them. So anyway, there you go. Oh, and if you're looking for a case trapper, it's going to cost you about $51 to $60 to get a case trapper. This is a full-size trapper, and one of the best knives in the world, in my opinion. A case trapper. It's just a great knife, and I definitely do recommend them. And if you want to, there are places that will customize them. I think Blade HQ customizes. I'm not sure. I think they do. And so that will cost you a little bit extra. All right, moving on. This is a very cool knife sent in by the Chainsaw Shack. I love the leather sheath, how they made it look like a wing. That is just cool. And it has an eagle pommel on the blade. It's a cool knife. It's a very cool knife. Do not know who made it, but super cool. And I'm very glad that he sent that in. So I'm going to remind you one more time, one more commercial. If you have a cool knife laying around, pocket knife, sheath knife, doesn't matter, send it to me, and it will be a knife of the week at youtube.night16@yahoo.com, and it will become a knife of the week. All right, now this is my dad's knife. We went together years ago, all my siblings and my mom, and we bought this for him. This is a Buck 510 Classic 2. It has an aluminum handle that is just engraved very beautifully. It has a scroll. You can add your name if you want to. And it has this really nice, very classic lock back style. It's a very great knife. I actually have a video on it. And they don't make this anymore. I found one that sold on the internet for $99.99. I got an idea you couldn't buy one for that now. All right, moving on. This is actually the first knife of the week for this year, and or last year. This is a Sachs made by my buddy Hoy Forge, and this thing is just drop dead gorgeous. It has a stone in the back of the pommel. You can't see it on this picture. Has all these carvings in the handle, all of the wood, all the leather carving and tooling in the sheath, and you can't really see it because it's not a great picture that shows everything. If you want to see it, go check out his Facebook page. But he has a bone carving at the tip of the sheath. Super nice, crazy, top-notch work. All right, now this is another Bowie knife. I don't know who made this Bowie knife. I can't really tell who made it, but super nice Bowie knife, super nice. And that was sent in by the Chainsaw Shack as well. Great knife, and I thank you for sending that in. Okay, here's another Bowie knife. I really like this one too. And again, this one was sent in by the Chainsaw Shack. Super nice knife. I'm not sure which one I like better, but I really like this. Very sharp looking. Very, very nice. I like that. Okay, well, last year I was kind of getting desperate and looking for new knives. And I was like, you know what? I love this sword. So I put it on there and said, well, it's not a knife, but it's cool. So anyway, this is, let's see if I can find it. This is a Cold Steel hunting sword. I really like this sword. It is just a great sword. It's just great. I don't know the quality of Cold Steel swords, but I do know that that is a very beautiful sword. So hopefully it is as well made as it looks, because it looks great. And it retails on Amazon right now for $193.99. So very nice. I like that. And I just wanted to do something a little different for Knife of the Week. All right, now this is another Hoy knife. He calls that Man Jewelry. And you can see, I believe that's probably silver with maybe some turquoise inlaid on the back. It's a beautiful everyday carry little knife that you probably wouldn't want to use for too much because it's beautiful. All right, moving on. That's another Hoy Forge knife that he made. That's more of an EDC usable knife. Really nice. And I appreciate him letting me use pictures of his to put on my Knife of the Week. Really adds a lot to it. Okay, now this is actually my mom's knife. I did a video on it. I don't know if I uploaded it yet or not, but either way, this is a Stockman and it is completely made out of wood, which is amazing. It has, I believe that's probably curly, or I guess it's flaming maple. And he even has his name inlaid on the back of it. This is made by Marvin Walker. If you want one of these, contact Marvin Walker, and you probably can find one. So I don't know. I guess the best way to find him would probably also be on Facebook. So it's Marvin Walker, and he's amazing. He can make anything out of wood, and so I would definitely recommend it. He grew up with my mom, and so for her birthday, or maybe for her birthday, one of my brothers got him to make this for her, and it is just a very nice knife. Opens, closes, it's amazing. I don't cut, but it does have, you can see he did bevel the edges, so I don't know, very nice. Moving on, now this, move me out of the way. This knife is made by, let's see here, it's a Puma. Is that right? I can't remember. It's either a Puma or it might be a I'm trying to think here. It's a German made knife. So it might be made by Boker. I can't remember who it's made by. Anyway, you can see on the blade that it says Bowie right on the blade. Apparently it's 6 inches. It's a 2700. I can't remember who it's made by. But either way, this knife is a German made knife. Is my friend over, he is the DJ. Well, actually, he's not the DJ. He's the manager of KJAB Christian Radio over in Mexico, Missouri. I would check out his YouTube, his webpage, if you would like to hear some good Christian music. Hillbilly Gilly, and he is a great guy. Was up there, and he let me take a picture of one of his knives. He used to hunt with this knife, and he decided to quit when he decided he didn't want to lose it. But super, super nice knife. So very great addition to our Bowie Tober for sure. All right, moving on. This is another knife sent in by the Chainsaw Shack. I don't know who it's made by, but very nice looking, very mean, intimidating looking Bowie knife. I like it. Okay, so this is a Buck 112 Ranger. Buck 112 Ranger is a very interesting knife. It's a little bit smaller than a 110, and you can tell this one has been loved. And this one is owned by a pastor friend of mine, and he told me that he uses this knife to clean deer, and he said that to get through the sternum of a deer, this graphic, kids, close your ears. He said that he'll take this knife and he'll take a hammer, and it has like 6 or 7 little divots in the brass on the top of the knife, and he'll just hit it with that hammer, and it says it'll just go right through. So that is useful abuse right there. And so I asked him if I could take a picture of it and use it as a knife of the week, because I just really have always liked well-used knives. I don't know why, but I just like them. So moving on, as a testament to how tough that knife is. This is a Slimline Trapper made by Case. This is one of the greatest style pocket knives, in my opinion. Again, I have a lot of opinions, but I just absolutely love, I'll get me out of the way again. I love this knife. This is just a great knife. Hey, we've got 4 people listening. Thanks. I appreciate that. This is a great knife. And the only downfall it really has is that this thing is notorious for falling out of your pocket. So if you buy one of these, be careful. You very well might lose it. I used to carry one that a friend gave me, and I kind of lost it about 4 times, but I finally found it. I found it all 4 times through prayer and searching. And the 4th time I decided, you know what, this ain't worth it. I'll carry something else. All right, let's go to the next one. We're getting close to the end here. No, this is the end. So this is, oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. If you were interested in one of these knives, I found one with this iconic jigged bone handle for $41.61 on Amazon, which is not a bad price at all. All right, so this is the last knife. I believe this was the last knife that we did last year. So that's very fitting. This is a Case Christmas. I would call this a Stockman, I believe. I would just call it a regular Stockman. And it's got this beautiful handle and it says Merry Christmas on it. So that's it. That's all of our knives. You can see there's a lot of them. And I appreciate you watching this live stream. This is the first live stream that I've ever done. And I really enjoyed it. And I really did. And so thanks for watching. And again, if you're interested in doing a knife of the week, all you have to do is send me a picture of a knife. And if you want to tell me about it a little bit, that'd be fine. And I'll put that detail above. YouTube night16 at yahoo.com, all lowercase. So thanks again for watching. I enjoyed this live stream. Hey, if you like this, we might do this again sometime. And so anyway, this has been Night16. I'll see you later.